Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're reviewing WWE Payback 2023. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right into it. We start the show with what probably to me was the best match of the show. We get Becky Lynch against Trish Stratus in a cage match. This was a lot more hard-hitting and brutal than I thought it was going to be. I mean, you could tell just by looking at Trish's face. At one point she has a tremendous bump on her head. I don't know what from, but it looked pretty gnarly. It's a little shocking that this is Trish Stratus's first cage match. I kind of feel like she should have had one back in her original run. This was a really fun match. Ultimately, we get down to the end. Zoe Stark gets involved, and the whole point of the cage was supposedly to keep Zoe out, but that didn't work. Alas, it didn't help out Trish. Becky overcomes the odds, gets a win here in what I think is a fantastic match. Probably one of my favorite matches of the year so far. I thought this was fun. Afterwards, we see Trish badmouthing Zoe Starks. Zoe pretty much hits her with her finisher, walks away, so we got Zoe breaking off from that, going on her own way, which I think is good for her. Getting her that little bit of rub, putting her out there with Trish Stratus, and then bouncing her off into her own thing, I think is going to do well for her. I'm giving this a 5. I thought it was really good. Next up, we get the host of the show, John Cena. He comes out to the ring, announces that he's going to be the referee for The Miz versus LA Knight, which brings out The Miz. Cena somewhat mockingly asks The Miz his opinion of what he should do, and The Miz basically talks about when he was the host, which leads us right into Cena being the referee, which basically starts the match right then. I thought this match was okay. I expected a little bit more from that. This is a big spot for LA Knight. And yeah, the crowd was totally into him, don't get me wrong. The match itself was a bit lackluster in my opinion. LA Knight does pick up the win. Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 3. Next up, we get Rey Mysterio defending the United States Championship against Austin Theory. I half expected this to be a match where Santos Escobar turned on Rey and led to a Escobar versus Rey feud. Although maybe they're holding off on that, just coming off of the big term with Dom last year. So I could see why they didn't exactly do that to Rey again. This is a fun match. These guys are great. I enjoyed this. I thought it was good. I kind of like the idea that they're breaking down Austin Theory a bit, taking away his confidence, only hopefully to rebuild him because he's an ultra talented wrestler and absolutely should be one of the people they're building their future on. Mysterio does pick up the win here. I'm giving this one a 4. We then get a backstage interview with Becky Lynch. She gets interrupted by Tiffany Stratton, who apologizes for saying that Becky Lynch was an NXT Women's Champion. Kind of a nice little subtle dig. Obviously, they see big things in Tiffany Stratton. This interaction will help. It'll be part of her transferring over into the main stage. Next, we get a Tag Team Championship match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending their titles, both the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championship against Judgment Day, being represented by Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a street fight, and I thought this was awesome. This felt more like a tribute to Terry Funk than the Street Profits and Brawling Brutes match was. They were all over the place. It was wild. Kevin Owens took some crazy bumps. At one point, I think he really hurt himself, hurt his back or his ass, I guess you could say. There are some cool things here. KO taking off his shirt and showing a Terry Funk shirt. Them getting put in the penalty box only to come out with Pittsburgh Penguins jerseys, which it's in Pittsburgh. I'll give them that. I'm not a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan, which, if you know anything about Flyers fans, we dislike the Penguins. So I'm being as objective as I can here. It was neat. It was a cool spot coming out of the penalty box in the home team's jersey. I wish they would have been Flyers jerseys, but I digress. The Judgment Day all gets involved. First, Dominic Mysterio, then JD McDonough, who's not part of Judgment Day, but he seems to be in the periphery. I assume he's going to be added at some point. Rhea Ripley even puts Kevin Owens through the barricade, which was an awesome spot. Finally, Finn Balor and Damian Priest pick up the win to become the new tag team champions. I thought this was kind of awesome. I thought this was fun. I thought it was frenetic. I thought it was interesting. I'm giving this match a 5. I thought it was really fun. Next up, we have the Grayson Waller effect. He brings out his guest Cody Rhodes, who's got a big announcement. And after the news of earlier today where CM Punk was fired, I really hoped that by some magic, some gift of the wrestling gods, the announcement would have been CM Punk had been signed. I don't know if they could put a signing together that quickly, or if he does or doesn't have a no disclosure or no compete clause. Alas, his announcement was still pretty awesome. He announced that Jey Uso was signed to Raw after Cody Rhodes used his backstage influence and Swerve to get him there. What the trade is going to be, they didn't say. I don't know if it's going to be Cody going over to SmackDown or someone of a similar stature. I like the idea of separating Jey Uso from the bloodline for a bit. Let him build something on his own. Let Jimmy build something on his own. You can always go back to the Usos as a team. Why not give them a chance to shine on their own? I mean, the Dudley Boys are proof. The Dudley Boys were split up a few different times, and you can always go back to them as a team, but you might strike gold splitting them up like they did with Bully Ray and TNA. Cool little segment here. I really enjoyed. Next up, we have for the Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley defending against Raquel Rodriguez. This was fun. The crowd was dead for this, which was a little surprising, especially with how over Rhea Ripley is. I like this. This is basically your two biggest women in the division, your two powerhouses of the division, much akin to what we're going to see it All Out tomorrow with Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro going up against each other. This is a WWE's women division version with Rhea and Raquel. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a fun match. Ultimately, Rhea Ripley picks up the win here. I'm giving this one a 4 too. I thought it was really good. Then we get a backstage interview with John Cena, who says he's channeling Lance Catamaran, which was his character in Southpaw Championship Wrestling. He's got a goofy tie and jacket on. He looks absolutely goofy. He's interviewing Damian Priest and Finn Balor, talking about their tag team win. They say they're going to go out and party, which I kind of thought was a MacGuffin, basically to get your idea off they left the building maybe, but it really wasn't. They did leave. We didn't see him anymore. Then we roll right into our main event. We get Seth freaking Rollins defending the Universal Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura with really cool anime opening for Nakamura. Really cool having Great Muta sitting in the crowd. Kind of made it feel like Nakamura was going to win here. And the whole time I was watching this, the only thing I could think to myself, because I'm a huge Nakamura fan, I've been for a very long time a Nakamura fan. The only thing I kept thinking to myself is, we could have had this Nakamura all along. This is the Chaos Nakamura. This is a New Japan Pro Wrestling Nakamura. This is the guy that ran through NXT and looked amazing there. I absolutely loved this match. I thought it was really fun. The only thing I kind of wish was different was the finish of the match. I kind of feel like the crowd was getting with Nakamura. They're really behind him. You may have pulled a switch, even if it wasn't the plan going into this. And I kind of feel about Seth's title reign that this is the second match that I've got that feeling. The first being against Finn Balor, you could have pulled the trigger there as well. I know Seth is fantastic. I'm not knocking him. But it kind of feels like his opponents should be the ones winning these matches. Ultimately, Rollins does pick up a win with a curb stomp and then a really delayed pin. I actually thought Nakamura was going to kick out because of how delayed the pin was. Rollins does pick up the win. I thought the match was really good. I'm giving it a 4. Overall, I thought this was a fun card from the top to the bottom. Even though it didn't seem to have many matches of consequence, the Bloodline's not on here. Almost felt like a brand split error pay-per-view. I think they pulled it off and they gave the matches time. That was the best part about this. We have 6 total matches in a 3-hour card, so all the matches had time to breathe, had time to feel special. I absolutely love this card. I thought it was fun from the beginning to the end. I'm giving the full thing a 4. That being said, if you made it here to the end, let's smash that like button, share the video, subscribe. If you see where it says join, that's how you become a channel member. Becoming a channel member definitely helps me out. And if you made it to the end here, let me know what your favorite match of the card was. Was it the cage match? Was it the tag title match? Was it the heavyweight championship match? Let me know down here in the comments. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of Payback 2023.